flame.
But there has
involved.
to be a flame.
Yeah, or
involved.
spark at least.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
So that is a kind of a big red X on this one because we don't know what caught it on fire. It's just that this theory holds that basically something caught fire and then this stuff caught on fire because of it, and because of the high surfaced area burned quite hot and quite fast, and that's where everything came from there.
Well, yeah.
Now, why that
So-
was packed in with a bunch of computers, I have no idea.
And why somebody was standing next to it smoking a cigarette or something.
Yeah.
It's another mystery to
I
me.
believe that at that time it was still legal to smoke on airplanes. But yeah, it totally was.
It
But
probably was.
So you would think, I mean, you'd be strategic in your packing too at that point too, right? If you have something that's super volatile and like really flammable, you stick it below in the cargo area. You don't stick it above where a passenger might accidentally, maybe, possibly wander into, right?
You would
think.
probably
by
wrap
the
it
way,
or seal it in a
passengers
box.
couldn't just wander into the cargo hold.
Well,
But
there's
one
a
of the
door,
crew could.
right?
I mean, one
Yeah,
of the crew
crew knew how to get in there, but I'm just because you said it could be a passenger back there smoking a
Could
cigarette.
there not? I mean,
They couldn't just
it's not
get
just
in
a
there.
door?
It's not just a door. There was webbing and stuff. I'm pretty sure it was locked.
Oh.
You couldn't just wander in
Okay.
there.
Well,
I
if
got-
it was locked,
I got
no,
this-
nobody can ever
yeah.
get through locked doors.
No, of course not.
Those never get unlocked on accident or anything.
no, never.
I just had this mental picture of one of the crew going back there and smoking a cigarette, and then just like flicking a cigarette off into the corner of the cargo hold and heading back up to the cockpit.
Oh God, that lady in 3B wants another martini.
She keeps hitting the stewardess button.
Okay, let's move on from there. We're going to move to the next thing that might have been in a cargo hold, and that is fireworks. Okay, fireworks, as we all know, are very combustible, and they're they're unstable,
It's like there's gunpowder in there or something.
which is why you're not supposed to take them on airplanes because they can catch fire quite rapidly.
Yeah.
It could be as simple as it was. I've seen it as places as, let's say, it was just sparklers. So let's say it was a bundle of sparklers together sitting in the back of a plane, and if they're stacked, they're like logs stacked on top of each other. The vibration over hours is going to create friction, which is going to create heat, which could eventually set one of them off.
Is that a real thing?
Is there? Yeah, I was going to ask the same question. Is there any documented instance of
No.
this ever happening?
There's not.
There's not because
This is the only rational way that I can come up with that a firework could have caused the fire in the back of this plane.
Yeah, because I mean those things are actually pretty stable. I mean it's you actually have to take a flame to them.
Well, but
even
but
then,
again,
sometimes they
9.5 hours
Yeah.
of vibrations, it could
The
happen.
thing about it is, no, sparklers are transported all around the country in trucks and in planes and everything like that. And as far as I know, they don't self ignite.
Yeah,
Well, it's
but
'cause they're
9
refrigerated.
hours.
Yeah.
They're refrigerated.
Well, I mean, imagine. Yeah, imagine.
I wish everybody could see the look I just gave Steve because it was good.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time buying this. But
I am too.
are you going to cover the rocket theory?
Well, go for it.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are people saying that it wasn't just ammonium percolate or whatever. It was like, or just rocket fuel. It was actually complete rockets, like air-to-air missiles, air-to-surface missiles. Because
Would those still have just like randomly exploded? I mean,
Wouldn't those
Well,
have
that's
been
the thing.
noted by the surprise inspection?
well, unless they were. I mean, imagine where you have crates of these things, and then what you've done is you've glued computers to the outside of the crate, and then wrapped it all in like plastic.
I can see
Yeah.
Joe right now is going through his head. Okay, so I've used the hot glue gun and I've glued this computer to that computer to make a Lego wall. Like they're hot glue gun together. Is that how this goes? I mean, I'm not mocking you.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
trying to understand.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just that theory has been put out there is that there were completed weapons on board, that there were actually rockets on board.
Again,
That they were smuggling. Again, it makes no sense because
Yeah.
you would want to smuggle those by ship, not by aircraft.
And they had the ability to manufacture this stuff on
Yeah.
their own.
Yeah, oh, they totally did. They did manufacture that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, not just the fuel, but the rockets themselves. I mean, actually, yeah, in 1987, they put into service a nifty little laser-guided anti-tank rocket.
Yeah.
And so the South Africans had a pretty good munitions industry.
I have
still
heard
imported stuff.
rumor that they even had nuclear capability at one point.
They had, it's reported they had 6 devices.
Yes,
and before they gave up control of the country, they dismantled them. But,
right, but the point is, why would you fly in a pallet of missiles if you can make them yourself?
You wouldn't.
Well, it's a matter of, actually, they were importing stuff. I mean, some of the missiles that they used, they imported from France, Israel, the U.S., at least before the embargo, and probably after the embargo too.
Some were
but
still
stealthily, they probably could do that. Mm-hmm. But again, number one, you'd want to bring them in by different means because you don't want to import those things 2 or 3 at a time. I mean, for Christ's sakes.
Just cost alone.
And the other thing is if it was a rocket, solid fuel rockets are very stable.
Yeah.
You need to actually ignite those things.
Yeah, that's why we put them on ships and float them around everywhere because we know they're not just going to randomly go off.
Or we throw them in planes that are going to be flying for lots and lots of hours, and because we know they're not going to just randomly go off. I mean, even if it was this vibration theory with the sparklers or whatever, I mean, that they're made to go on things that vibrate for lots and lots of hours.
Under extreme forces.
Yeah, and that should be totally normal. It should be stable enough to withstand that.
It has to be.
Totally.
Yeah, otherwise you wouldn't use it.
And also, by the way, if once a solid fuel rocket goes off, once it starts going, it can't be shut down.
Yep.
It just burns until all the fuel is gone. And putting out lots of thrust, and by the way, from what I understand, the temperature of the flames in these things is between 4,000 and 5,500 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
And so the contents of the entire hold would have been on fire.
The whole thing. Yeah, that would have lit everything on fire.
And all of the metal would have been melted, right? It wouldn't have been just some pits and slag. It would have been the whole thing melted into a...
Gee, this is funny. There's a giant hole in the metal decking of this plane.
Weird.
But I'm more interested in the little hot spot on the ceiling.
Yeah, no, that seems unlikely, doesn't it?
Plus, so I think we can eliminate the rockets, completed weapons. Okay, but you have another theory. This theory seems a little more plausible.
Oh, you're talking about the wiring.
Yeah.
Yeah, the faulty wiring.
The bad wiring.
It's good. This is a good one.
And the flammable insulation.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about this theory because I actually have to give credit to a guy. His name is Mark D. Young for putting all the pieces together for this. He wrote up a pretty good article on it.
Yeah, I read that and I thought it was really...
It's very compelling.
Oh, it's and completely convincing.
Yeah, he really does. He really does a good job. But
this guy seems to actually know what he's talking about.
Yeah, he really does. In a nutshell, here's how this theory works: is in the 70s and 80s, there was a thin type of wiring that was being used on most passenger airlines. And it was known as MIL-W-81381.
Oh, it's a clever name.
Yes, totally easy.
It's catchy.
In the industry, it was referred to as Kapton, Kapton. I'm going to call it Kapton. And it was thought to be extremely durable, but it turns out that after several years, the rubber plastic coating, it's a polyamide. That's what it is. It was found to crack really easily, and what's the word? It's frequently isn't the word. There is tons and tons and tons of cracking.
Prolifically.
Like crazing.
Like crazing. Yes, that's the word that I'm looking for. It would be coated in cracks.
I don't know. I gotta be honest with you. I don't think I knew what crazing meant. So.
It's. Like when you see porcelain and stuff like that.
It's like cracked.
So all the spider web, fine layers and layers of fine cracks.
So I would call it prolifically cracked.
Well, those cracks, unfortunately, weren't very apparent because the wires
really
are so
tiny.
small.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wire itself, you need to understand, is about as thick as several strands of human hair. So it's a really, really thin wire within the coating on top. So it's hard to tell if it's cracked. And that's a bad thing because it was discovered that when the insulation, that coating on the wire would crack and it was exposed to a damp or a humid environment, like, say, the inside of a plane after 9.5 hours with nearly 160 people breathing moisture out, it would, what is called wet arcing would happen.
Although I have to say, an airplane is not
It's not super humid.
I don't think of it as a humid environment.
Not the
but-
dampest environment.
yeah.
no.
But it is damp. I mean, I've been on airplanes where you can see condensation on the
can.
inside of
Yeah,
the
that's true.
glass
Well,
on your window.
I don't know what was going on back in the hold. I don't know if the hold was heated or not.
Well, if it was not pressurized, it was probably cooler, so there was probably more.
It would be cooler back there because remember it was
Yeah.
lower pressure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it would be a lower pressure. So things would accumulate back there.
Yeah, it would be. I can picture some condensation going on back there.
So actually, I'm not good enough at the science to explain this. So I cheated and I found somebody from Harvard
Did
who
you
could
some
explain
copy
this.
paste?
This is totally from Harvard. Joe, can you read this? Actually, you sound like a
sound
Harvard
smart.
guy.
Oh, sorry, I read
Mr.
it with
Smarty Pants.
with a German accent
No.
or an
No, I
English
would just like
accent?
you to use your regular voice.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Quote, electrical wet wire arc tracking is a phenomenon that has been known for many years. This can occur when leakage currents on a wet insulation surface are great enough to vaporize the moisture, resulting in the formation of dry spots. These dry spots offer a high amount of resistance to current flow. In turn, an induced voltage will develop across these spots and result in the occurrence of small surface discharges. These discharges produce highly localized temperatures on the order of 1,000 degrees Celsius / 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit,
Super
which
hot.
is kind of hot. Yeah. Okay, back to the quote. Temperatures of this magnitude will cause thermal degradation of the insulation material, the nature of which depends on the insulation material used. Unquote.
Simple version. Wet arcing is very bad. It creates extremely hot spots when it happens.
Yeah.
Which, when combined with flammable material, is a huge problem, especially when it's on an airplane.
Yeah.
And here's something else that folks need to know is, again, in the 70s and 80s, there was an insulation being used on airplanes. It's metallized mylar, which really looks like fiberglass insulation wrapped in tinfoil.
Mylar's it's like what you see.
Balloons made out of. Yeah, exactly. Well, it turns out that they thought that this stuff was extremely fire resistant. And when it's exposed to an instantly obscenely hot point of contact, it's totally, totally flammable.
Yeah, it's like